Do you ever just get completely sick and tired of listening to this ridiculous inner critic that you have? If you relate to that at all, I'm sorry, but also, hi. If you're new here, my name is Gabbie, and I'm a professional illustrator, graphic novelist, art doer, sketchbooker, maker of art. But this month, I feel like I really haven't been a great maker of art. I hate to say art block. I don't know why. Because I have been making art. I do art every day for my job, but I just feel like I've been in this really big creative slump. All the work I've been doing is stuff that I had already created. So, I'm working on my graphic novel and making the inking, but the sketching and the thought process is already there. I'm just filling in the blanks. But when it comes to my sketchbook, which I take a lot of pride in and I usually really enjoy working in, I have been, I hate to say it, but like scared to work in my sketchbook. And I was sitting in my studio yesterday and I was just trying to think about what I could do. And my brain was just like, I really, really want to paint today. But then immediately I was like, oh no, my nails aren't done. My studio isn't clean. I don't even think anything I paint would be even good. I just like a million reasons why I couldn't or shouldn't work in my sketchbook today. And I got to this weird point where I was like, man, I am tired of listening to this girl. And the girl is me. I just got sick and tired of listening to this like negative self-talk that I had going on. So I was like, you know what? We're just gonna have a cup of coffee. We're gonna put on some super loud music, and I am just going to do the first instinct for this sketchbook page. I'm just gonna do whatever comes to my mind first. So I flipped to this page where I had painted this like gold watercolor border, and I was like, okay, what material do I want to use? Gouache, but I don't want to use any new gouache. And if you saw my palette at the beginning, it is literally disgusting, but I don't want to clean it because I hate to waste paint. And if you know anything about gouache, it's reactive with water. So it can be dry for a long time and you can still reactivate it and get paint out of it. So that's what I did. I just put a bunch of water on my palette and then I just started using colors that were already there, which apparently was like a lot of purple and a lot of orange. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to draw? And the first thing that came to mind was ferrets. So I just looked up a bunch of pictures of ferrets and sat down and got to work. I was really just trying to focus on like 0 second guessing. I was like the John Cena meme. Just do it. I sometimes I think when I struggle with, I guess it is art block, I just have to be really kind of forceful with myself. I feel like I get into this slump where I don't want to make something if I don't think it's going to look good, which is really a bummer. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to paint and we're going to record ourselves doing it. And even if it doesn't, even if it's not a masterpiece, I'm still going to upload it and I'm still going to do a voiceover for it because I need to stop feeling like I need to be this perfect artist to share my work. So anyways, that's the inspiration for what I'm doing here. I'm going to try to put all the materials that I use on this piece on the screen as they come up, but I will just say props to you if you have the attention span to stick with one material, because that has been something that I've always struggled with traditional painting. It's a super weird problem. It might just have to do with ADHD, but like I can only paint with gouache for like a certain amount of time, and maybe it's just a skill issue. Like I don't think I'm very good at gouache, so I don't think I can fully execute a painting the way I want to with just gouache. So I used gouache for a while here, and then it was around this point as I was painting, I just kept hearing in my head, black ink, black ink, black ink. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it until I put it down on the page. So I pulled out some black ink and a paintbrush and I just started filling in the background between these two. I guess they're weasels or ferrets. I'm not a weasel slash ferret expert. So if somebody can chime in and tell me, I think it's a weasel. I'll double check. What my references were, but I just started filling in the background. I think sometimes I get nervous with like too much white space on a page, so I just really wanted to fill it in a little bit. And here I think I'm using Higgins Black Magic ink, which I'm not sponsored, but it is just genuinely my favorite ink that I've ever used, at least like a black ink. And I've tried a lot, especially through art school. Yeah, this one is just my favorite. I really enjoy working with it. But again, here, I was really just like following whatever I felt like doing. I wasn't really focused on trying to make like the greatest painting ever. I just wanted to make something and have it be done and exist, which I think sometimes is really important. It's really underrated for artists to just like make something. I find I have a hard time sometimes getting over myself, thinking that I need to make something that's like hugely amazing and inspiring every time I paint, which I don't do. So I don't know why I think that way. Like, my sketchbook is supposed to be a place of fun exploration and literally doing whatever I want. But sometimes I just get caught up in like, oh, what should I be painting? Or like, what does my audience want to see? And it's just like blah, 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 blah. And it makes me want to scream. So sometimes I think I just need to like throw some paint around and make something. And if you struggle with anything like this is the best advice I would give you, is just to open up your sketchbook and literally ruin a page. I do this all the time. Sometimes if I have extra paint or, you know, extra ink sitting around from a different project I was working on, I'll just open up my sketchbook and quote unquote ruin a page. Just paint it completely one color or a bunch of different colors, because I find that white paper is just really, really overwhelming to me. I find it hard to draw anything. I also feel the same way with like the first page of a sketchbook. If you look at any of my sketchbook tours, you'll see I almost never actually draw something on the first page, because for me it just feels so high stakes, and I'm like, oh, if I ruin it, whole vibe of the sketchbook is ruined. So I basically never paint on the very first page for that reason. But yeah, I highly recommend just going in and like ruining some pages, because once they're ruined, I figure it really can't get any worse than that. So I feel more freedom to just do whatever I want to do. And I know I didn't invent this concept. I know it's called, I think, blank page syndrome, but it's basically the anxiety around having so many options that you sort of stop in your tracks and feel like you can't even decide what you want to do on this blank white sheet of paper, because there's so many things that it could be. So I find it's helpful to just create something, even if it's not great, and that way you have a starting point. So now we are going back in with a little bit of gouache. I was trying to do like the eyeball orange for the one ferret and the eyeball purple for the other ferret, a mix and matchy type thing. I feel like with the gold and the black and the orange and the purple, these colors really don't go together, but I guess I just really didn't care. Again, I'm just trying to make something. I'm just trying to find enjoyment. And you know, I did have a lot of fun making this. I really enjoyed painting all these little fur lines, getting those little bits of texture in. So even though this isn't like my favorite painting I've ever made, I definitely think it was worth making. But anyways, how are you guys? How is life? I'm doing fine. I am just working a lot this month. I think that's why I've been so stagnant in my sketchbook. I'm working on a couple different projects for publishing, which I absolutely love doing, but it does take a lot of my like mental energy, where I get to the end of the day and I don't have anything left for working in my sketchbook, which is sad but also good. So I don't know how to feel about it. At least in my experience, I find that if I just let myself have the break that my brain is asking for with my sketchbook, I tend to come back around to wanting to make art. And then here I move into colored pencils. I can't stay with one art material. I think I use gouache, colored pencils, black ink. I think I get watercolor in here later, and also metallic watercolor. Is that everything I used? I think so. But anyways, yeah, I've been really busy with work, so my sketchbook has sort of not been getting a lot of love lately. Honestly, doing this kind of kickstarted me into working in my sketchbook again. I've been drawing a lot more in the evenings, which feels really nice. I've also been, this is maybe embarrassing, I've been rewatching Steven Universe, which I watched back in the day when I was a teenager and it was like coming out episode by episode. I've been rewatching it with my husband, who's never seen it before, and I am just getting like the worst flashbacks of like waiting for the new episodes to upload to Tumblr, and then like all the gifs that would come out episode to episode. I keep being like, oh my god, this episode ruined the internet when it came out. I feel very old, but it's really fun. And I've been drawing a lot of like Steven Universe fan art in my sketchbooks, which maybe is kind of embarrassing, but it reminds me of when I was like 16 years old and I would watch a new episode and I would just immediately go to my sketchbook and like draw every new character that showed up or like whatever was going on in that episode. And So yeah, my next sketchbook tour might have a lot of Steven Universe art. I hope that's okay with y'all. And other than that, I've just been doing a lot of prep for some art expos that I have coming up this month. I'm going to be at Small Press Expo in Bethesda in September. I'll put the dates up on the screen and where I'm going to be. So if you are in Maryland, please come by my table. I'd love to say hi and chat with you. I am a Marylander originally, so I'm super excited. My best friend is going to help me run the table, and I'm going to get to spend a little bit of time with my mom. So it's going to be really, really sweet and fun. I was supposed to go to Cartoon Crossroads Columbus as well. Unfortunately, I did have to cancel for a family event, which I'm really bummed out about. But if you end up going to that one, please let me know how it was, because I'm really bummed. I mean, I'm excited for the family event I have. I was pretty bummed that I had to cancel. So, you know, I wish the best for them and I hope that event goes well. And yeah, here you can see I'm adding in this watercolor. I added in this like really orangey red watercolor paint to the top weasel. And I think that was such a good choice. Sometimes like what does Jenna Marbles say? She's got like the too much gene. I think I have that too. And sometimes I'll add something to a painting and I'll be like, wow, that just completely ruined it. But this time I had the opposite feeling where I put that orange down and I was like, wow, this really just made the painting. It's definitely not the most detailed painting I've ever made, but I had a really fun time doing it. And I know as an artist, it's hard to fall into the like trap of wanting all of your sketchbook pages to be a perfect completed piece of art. But I need to remind myself that my sketchbook is for sketchbook work. It's stuff that I will plan to iterate on if I really like it, or learn something from it, or a skill that I would expand on later. I decided that I needed silver metallic watercolor in here as well. The metallics don't show up great on camera, but in person I just love I love the shimmers. I am like a bird. I'm just attracted to like shiny things. Yeah, and honestly, would it be a Gabbie Benda painting if it didn't have like a million random little stars for no reason? I don't know. It's just one of those patterns that I'm really obsessed with lately. And as we're coming around to the end of this painting, like I said, it's definitely not the most amazing painting I've ever done in my life. And it's definitely not the most detailed painting I've done in my life. Like, if I could go back, I would probably put more effort into the top weasel's face. But honestly, I did this in about an hour. I think I took a little snack break in between. I have like the world's shakiest hands, and I think I'm one of the only people ever who like doesn't eat enough salt. So my doctor told me I needed to eat more salt. So my hands got really shaky halfway through, and I did have to take a little olive break and eat a bunch of olives, and I felt better after that. But yeah, I think we're nearing the end here. Let me know what you guys think of the painting and of my incoherent ramblings that I gave you this video. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support me further, I do have a Patreon where I upload first looks at my sketchbooks and exclusive Patreon sketchbook videos and other good stuff. No pressure, but if you're interested, please check it out. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch up with you again soon. Bye!